Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Joseph Grybowski, chairman of the International Campaign for the Rohingya. Many thanks for joining us here on Al Jazeera. This particular new flare-up of violence taking place, of course, on the border, in the border area between Myanmar and Bangladesh. Both countries bear a degree of responsibility, don't they, for the Rohingya people. I wonder, what is your view on the responses thus far from both the government of Myanmar and the government of Bangladesh?
Well, Jonah, there's no question that both countries hold responsibility, but the lion's share really does fall on the government of Burma. Aung San Suu Kyi's statement of accusations against the insurgent group, and rightly to condemn the violence, does not take into consideration the ongoing violence that the Burmese military has carried out against the Rohingya people for a very long time. Additionally, Bangladesh is already a very poor country and is hosting 400,000 Rohingya refugees, with little support from the international community, with little support from its neighbors, with ongoing problems that the Myanmar government itself is causing against the Rohingya and forcing them to be driven across the border. Really, the responsibility here lies on Aung San Suu Kyi and the Burmese government.
And is there good reason, do you think, or indeed any real reason, why Aung San Suu Kyi seems so reluctant to condemn the military of Myanmar for its actions, as you say, over years towards the Rohingya?
I think there are two very big reasons why. About 2 years ago, when she was running for president, Aung San Suu Kyi said, "I'm not a human rights leader, I'm just a politician," when asked about the Rohingya issue. The other is, despite the democratic progress that has been made in Burma, she still has no real control over the military. All that being said, she does have a responsibility and does have to take leadership in order to speak out on behalf of the Rohingya and on behalf of the de-escalation of the conflict in general.
What she does have, of course, is as a Nobel laureate, is considerable influence over international opinion. Her voice would carry significant weight were she to raise it. On that note, what is the international response, and why no significant level of engagement in this problem?
There has been tepid response from the international community. Members of Parliament of ASEAN member states have put out a statement condemning the violence and calling for a de-escalation. We saw a State Department statement saying that the violence committed by the Burmese military was unacceptable. But statements are wonderful and fine, but action needs to be taken. The Rohingya people have been suffering for a very, very long time. And without any real international pressure on Suu Kyi and on the Burmese military, this violence will continue to perpetrate.
Well, I was going to point that out. These are desperate, stateless people, aren't they? Elements of whom are now clearly frustrated and angry and taking matters into their own hands. This is a situation, isn't it, that could quite easily spiral well out of control.
Well, that's the great concern for any of us who pay attention to these issues, that when you've been persecuted as long as the Rohingya people have been, they really only have three options. The first is to sit and take it, which is what the majority of the population does. The second is to leave, and as we've seen, any attempts to leave are met with violence on both the Burmese and Bangladesh borders. And the third is to react, and that's what we're seeing happen starting with Friday's violence. And again, I have to reiterate that there is no acceptable time for violence to be committed, but when the Rohingya people feel as desperate and isolated and lost as they are, this is the only reaction they felt they had.
Joseph Grybowski speaking to us from Washington, D.C. with the International Campaign for the Rohingya. Many thanks for your time.